I see President Obama is on record of advising the UN that they need to reform. In the meantime, he's going to still contribute and do America's part to support this international organization. But when you go back to the beginning of the UN, I think Israel and the UN began at the same time, and I'm not sure that I want to discuss Israel here, but the UN. Why did we ever need a UN? Couldn't they have seen? I'm not sure whether the UN prevented the Soviet Union from becoming, the challenger, the ultimate challenger to go to war with the West or whatever, or preventing any war or anything of the sort. It seems as if the UN was a kind of like foreshadow of the New World Order, in which the architects of the end of the world and the New World Order try to show us that controlling the whole world is possible, and the UN, with all the leaders from the different parts of the world, will work harmoniously together and be a foreshadow to this New World Order or this thing that's going to happen before the return of the Lord. But I mean, the Bible says clearly in Daniel that the world will never be one. It's either going to be two, at least two. It could be endless, as the world is today, divided among so many different ways. But the enemy is trying to make the world one now. Just like Europe, how it's not going to be able to integrate, and how the integration is disintegrating and catapulting towards sort of declension, death, and perhaps ruin, economically and politically and otherwise. I'm saying that the way Europe is going to save itself is stop thinking about unity, because Europe has never been united. France King Clovis, he had come to, well, he and Charlemagne around 800 had a whole bunch of the largest parts of Europe had been under Charlemagne's reign, controlled, and he was crowned the Emperor of Rome in 800 on Christmas Day. But his children came on and they just fight among themselves, and it broke up and became less. And then Clovis had Europe again, this Germanic king, one of the barbarians, and his two sons couldn't agree, and then they split the thing. Now, it might have been smart to say, well, okay, I have two sons, and when one if both grow up and you're about to die, close to death, and you banish one, and then just let one rule things so that it's going to be united. But then that might be problems. You might be banished somewhere, and you're going to organize a group and come back and try to fight him from the outside, coming back in. So it's not going to happen. And if he has one son, somehow maybe somebody else is going to come from another area and fight him and take away some of his lands and all that. You know what I mean? It's not going to happen, right? So why waste time on trying to integrate the countries of Europe when they could go out and try to invest and create more jobs? Because that's the only way they can get rid of the debt problem. Talking it and trying to come together as one unit ain't going to solve the problem. With jobs, they're going to get taxes in, they're going to be able to pay down the debt, and people are going to be happy working, and everything is going to be good. So create the jobs. So the UN, with this pilot project in world unity, I mean, it's dependent on all these nations. And if these nations becoming financially strapped, the UN is going to be financially strapped, and when some of them collapse, the UN is going to collapse too, because America can't support the UN by itself, and it doesn't make sense to do it anyway, right? So Israel and the UN were architects of somebody who has a design on the world, because Israel and the Middle East, they really create some problems for America and for the West. They were scattered, and they were effective as far as God is concerned. But they're going back there, it's just a bunch of strife. Folks don't want in there, and after all these years, the folks still don't want in there, and it's working against even what the UN wants, because the Middle East there is so hot that it could give the UN a little war. They've had several wars there, and with Iran and Israel going into the game. So the UN and Israel were instruments, in my view, of the New World Order people, and they had a design in Israel to keep us busy and to get us into these problems, making the Middle East a area now where I mean, perhaps was Israel in there for like crusading purposes, so that they're going to come back and start fanning out and take over the whole Middle East? I mean, one way or another, you can't control the Middle East, and God said so. And so far, nobody has been able to do it without getting some serious consequence. Supply is going to be a problem. The economy at home will be a problem. I mean, but you know, I mean, they know a lot of people. They have the designs. So the president has told them straight that we don't mind supporting you, but you got to reform. You know, I haven't read what the reforms are and what his demands are. I know they're going to be reasonable, but I don't see any use for the UN anyway, because they haven't created no peace. It's just some big boys that they're making some big bucks and talking, you know, and setting up us into things that ain't working for us, because they focus on the Middle East, and before 9/11 they had stuff in the Middle East there, you know, and they're trying to get us in there anyway. They want us to go into Syria, they want us to go into Yemen, they want us just to go into the crusade mode. So I mean, I don't see the use for the UN anyway.